man took this photo while relaxing with friends at a local pub. Later, after sending the image, his app automatically flagged something unusual in the background, a human face. Curious, he went back and checked the photo again. That was when he noticed it. Above his friend's arm, a face-like image appears to emerge. According to him, he never saw anyone standing there at the time. Nothing unusual was happening inside the bar, and he is convinced no person could have been positioned there. What made the story stranger was what happened next. One of the waitresses later told him that unusual events have reportedly been noticed in the establishment before. Because of that, the image quickly became a topic of discussion. Some believe it is nothing more than lighting, reflections, and shadows inside the pub. Others think the camera may have captured a strange visual effect that was impossible to notice in real time. Do you see a face there? Write your thoughts in the comments. This old photograph shows a man standing with his son. Years later, while reviewing family photos, he noticed something disturbing, a dark hand-shaped form resting on his back. He insists it could not be the child's hand. That day, they were completely alone. This single unexplained detail turned an ordinary family memory into a chilling mystery, hinting at an unseen presence. Whose hand do you think that was? Share your thoughts. The owner says this photo was taken in June 2007, when his wife photographed their son playing. Later, while reviewing the image, they noticed a strange detail. Behind the boy's right shoulder, what looks like a little girl can be seen, as if playing with toys. The man brought the photo to work, and several people immediately recognized the girl as a child who had died in a tragic school bus accident near their home. When the boy saw the photo, he calmly said she was his friend. But later, his behavior changed. For unknown reasons, he began to fear her and refused to enter his bedroom. The family eventually moved to another town for unrelated reasons. To this day, the father shows the photo to skeptics, watching as they struggle to explain what the camera captured. Who do you think was playing behind the boy? Write in the comments. The owner of this photograph was stunned by what his camera captured. He emphasizes that the location is private property, securely fenced. No animals roam there, and strangers cannot enter. Yet the image clearly shows a strange figure. Its form reminded neither of a person nor an animal. Instead, something faint and almost transparent, like a presence that should not have been visible at all. What do you think appeared on that property? Write in the comments. This photograph was taken in 2004 on the island of Rhodes, Greece, using a regular film camera during a 7-week trip. At the time, the man's girlfriend had stepped away to get a drink, leaving him briefly alone. He noticed a room lined with massive clay vessels arranged in a semicircle. Each stood nearly 160 centimeters tall, imposing and ancient. He took a photo, and only afterward did a woman working there explain that the vessels were burial urns from centuries before Christ. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but when he later developed more than 300 photos from the trip, he noticed something extraordinary in that image. Shapes resembling faint human forms appeared among the urns, as if lingering presences tied to the past had revealed themselves. For him, the moment became unforgettable, like a silent encounter with history that had never truly left. What do you think appeared among the urns? Write in the comments. A paranormal investigation team was exploring a house in Springfield after reports of strange activity. At the time the photo was taken, the house was dark, and according to the team, No one was standing in the hallway. One investigator later reported hearing a strange growling sound captured on EVP. Around the same time, movement was noticed in the darkness. He immediately began taking photographs. Later, while reviewing the images, a dark figure was discovered in the hallway. At first, some thought it resembled a Grim Reaper-like shape, but after closer inspection, others believed the silhouette appeared to be holding a child. This detail made the image even more disturbing. Some dismiss it as poor lighting and shadow distortion. Others consider it one of the most unsettling photographs from the investigation. What was standing in that hallway? Write your thoughts in the comments. In 2016, this eerie picture spread across social media. A woman named Kelly Haynes took a casual selfie in a pub in Blackpool, UK. But when she looked at it later, she noticed something disturbing. Over her shoulder, a face stared back. It wasn't anyone from the bar, and no one had been standing there. The pale face looked like that of a young child, blank, expressionless, almost floating in the darkness behind her. The photo went viral, with many calling it one of the clearest ghost images ever captured. Was it a hoax, or the face of a restless child trapped in the pub forever? This photograph belongs to Chloe Marie Powell Hughes. She shared that one night, while repainting her kitchen, she took a picture to show her mom the progress. The wall was still wet from fresh paint, nothing unusual at first glance. But when she looked closer, a faint human shape appeared against the wet surface. It wasn't dust or a reflection, it looked like a transparent figure hovering midair, as if gliding out of the wall itself. She hadn't seen it with her own eyes, only through the camera lens. So was it a paint trick, or something hiding in plain sight? A security camera in a private home captured something difficult to explain. The footage shows a staircase shrouded in shadows, and next to it, a shape that looks neither like a person nor a trick of the light. The indistinct figure seems to peek from behind the railing, watching someone invisible. The homeowners insist that no one was downstairs that evening. In the days that followed, they began noticing strange sounds, soft rustling, faint footsteps on the stairs, and barely audible breathing in the dark. Some who have seen this photo are convinced it's the ghost of someone who remained in the house after a tragedy long forgotten. Others believe the camera simply caught a reflection or overlapping shadows. But everyone who has watched this footage agrees on one thing: there is something disturbingly alive about that figure. It's as if it knows it's being watched, and is waiting for someone to come down the stairs again. This photo was uploaded by Jocelyn DeWalt. She says the picture was taken about 10 years ago. The little girl in the image was being babysat by her daughter's cousin, who was simply taking pictures of the child dancing when a dark figure suddenly appeared in the background. No one present noticed anything strange at the time. Only later, while reviewing the photo, did they see the silhouette, something that clearly should not have been there. Jocelyn insists the image is authentic, with no editing or filters. That is what makes the photo so disturbing. It left a heavy feeling with everyone who saw it and still raises questions that have never been answered. What do you think was standing behind the dancing child? Write your opinion in the comments. A woman said this photo was taken around 2010 with her best friend. When they first looked at the pictures, they were overwhelmed with fear. In the second image, something strange can clearly be seen between them, something that does not seem to belong in this world. Even more disturbing, in the next two photos the figure seems to vanish, leaving behind only the sense that something unexplained had been there moments before. The pictures appear to have captured a moment that cannot be repeated or explained, a split second when reality brushed against something unknown. What do you think appeared between them? Share your opinion. An employee of Langley Castle in Northumberland says this photo was taken by a guest staying at the castle. It shows a very tall, thin figure, not shaped like an ordinary person. Searching for answers, the photo was shared to hear what others think. Whatever it may be, the image sparks curiosity and carries the heavy sense of mystery that seems to cling to old stone walls and historic places. What do you think was standing in the castle? Write your thoughts. The boy in this photo chose to tell his story only many years later. As a child, he often saw strange entities in the house but stayed silent. Fear kept him quiet. He was afraid no one would believe him. Nearly 20 years passed before he looked again at an old childhood photo and realized the proof had been there all along. In the picture, beside him and his mother, a dark figure can be seen. It stands out ominously against the room, almost as if it is staring directly at them. He believes this was the same presence that followed him throughout his childhood. Even now, as an adult, he admits he still cannot return to that house and stay there alone. What do you think was standing beside them? Share your thoughts in the comments. This photo was taken during a celebration at a kindergarten in Japan. The children, dressed in costumes and masks, were posing for a cheerful group photo. But what was meant to be a memory of laughter became something much darker. In the upper window behind them, a pale face can be seen, the face of a small boy, expressionless, silently watching the children below. Teachers confirmed that no one was upstairs at the time. Locals whisper that a child once died there decades ago and that his spirit never left. The building has since been renovated, but visitors still report the feeling of eyes on them whenever they pass those windows. A university professor once showed this strange photo displayed in one of the old campus buildings. It was originally taken at a nearby abandoned mine, long closed after several fatal accidents. The picture shows a miner posing for the camera, covered in dust, nothing unusual at first glance. But in the background, half hidden in the darkness of the tunnel, a translucent face seems to peer out from behind the rocks. Its eyes look hollow, its mouth slightly open, as if whispering something unheard. Many believe it's the ghost of a miner who never left the depths, forever watching those who dare to enter. Others insist it's a mere trick of light. Still, the gaze in that photo feels too real, too aware. What was that face doing in the dark? In the historic New Bell Inn pub in Harwich, Essex, a visitor snapped a photo near the fireplace. When reviewed later, it revealed what looked like an elderly woman sitting calmly by the flames. The men in the picture never noticed her presence. Locals whisper of a spirit known to haunt the pub, the ghost of a widow who once owned the inn centuries ago. Some say she still sits by the fire every night, waiting for the husband who never came home from sea. The photo's authenticity has been debated for years, but one thing remains certain. Those who've stood near that fireplace often describe feeling a sudden chill, as if invisible eyes were watching. Coincidence? Or a glimpse into a tragic past that refuses to fade? In July, a visitor touring the Rochester Cathedral in England took a photo of the ancient interior. At first, nothing seemed strange, but later, while reviewing the pictures, one shot stood out. In the dim corridor near the altar stands a dark, shadowy figure, barely visible yet undeniably there. Its outline resembles a person, motionless, watching. The photographer insists the place was empty at the time. Historians say the cathedral has seen centuries of tragedy, burials, fires, and countless prayers for the dead. Perhaps one soul never left. Was this just a shadow, or a guardian spirit still wandering the sacred halls? During a routine visit to a centuries-old castle, a tourist took what was meant to be just another souvenir photo. But when the film was developed, the image revealed something far from ordinary. In the middle of the vast, dimly lit hall, a group of translucent figures appeared, faint yet unmistakable. Their outlines seemed to move, as though caught mid-step, gliding silently through the air. The photographer insists there were no people present when the shutter clicked. Locals believe the castle still echoes with the spirits of those who once lived and died within its stone walls. Others think it's simply an illusion of dust and light. But once you've seen the photo, it's hard to shake the feeling that those halls are never truly empty. Could this be the restless past reaching out from beyond time? While sorting through old family photos, a woman came across one taken years ago during Christmas. In the picture, two sisters stand smiling, one on the left, one on the right. But behind the girl on the right, something else lurks on the wall. It's faint, humanoid, with a face twisted in an unnatural grin. Its thin black hand appears to rest on the girl's neck, though there was nothing behind her but a bare wall. The more you stare, the clearer the figure becomes, like it's slowly stepping forward from the background. The family never found an explanation. Even the original negatives confirmed it was there. Some say it's a demonic presence. Others think it's a trick of the flash. But once you've seen that hand, you can't unsee it. What do you think? Illusion, or something darker watching that family? In 1984, a man took a photo of his grandmother sitting peacefully in her living room. There was no smoke, no haze, nothing unusual. But when the picture developed, a faint mist appeared beside her chair, slowly forming the outline of a man. The family instantly recognized the shape. It resembled her late husband, who had passed away years before. Many believe he appeared to remind her that he was still by her side, watching over her. The image is soft, eerie, and oddly comforting. Some call it coincidence. Others, a final visit from a soul unwilling to say goodbye. Was it just a reflection, or love strong enough to cross death itself? It was supposed to be an innocent photo, a mother capturing her daughter's smile. But later, when she looked closer, her heart nearly stopped. Behind the little girl stood a dark, human-like figure, partially hidden in shadow, staring straight into the lens. No one else had been in the room. The door was closed. The image spread across social media, dividing viewers. Some saw a shadow, others a clear silhouette of something far more sinister. Many claimed they can even make out faint eyes in the darkness. Who, or what, was standing behind that child? The person who shared this image wrote, "This picture was taken by a trail camera on my parents' ranch in Texas." Later, I learned that the camera had been placed near where an old homestead once stood. When I found the memory card, I brought it to my dad, who downloaded the images himself. He's good with Photoshop, but there was no time for editing. I was with him the whole time. The camera is motion activated, and no one resembling the figure in this photo has ever been seen on the property. The location is deep within the ranch, completely restricted. The photo shows a blurry, ghost-like figure, the shape of a woman standing still, facing the camera, her face indistinct but eerie in its clarity. No one has been able to explain it. The photo remains untouched, exactly as it was taken. Who was that woman? A remnant of the land's past, or something still walking there? The The sender claimed that her friend might have captured a ghost. The friend said she saw a ghost and checked her camera to see if it appeared in the photo. The image shows a faint, blurry figure standing near a car, its outline almost transparent. She insists it wasn't a camera malfunction. Something was truly there. The person who received the photo had never believed in ghosts before, but after seeing this and several similar encounters, began to doubt his skepticism. What do you think? Could this really be a ghost, or something even stranger? In an old family photograph, a father is seen standing with his eldest daughter, now 28 years old. For years, no one noticed anything unusual. It was just another family memory frozen in time. But a closer look reveals something strange along the wall to the left, a faint figure blending into the background. Its shape is subtle but clearly human-like, standing where no one remembers anyone being. The discovery changed the feeling of the photo completely. What once seemed ordinary now carries a heavy, mysterious atmosphere, as if an unknown presence had quietly joined the moment without being invited. Who do you think was standing by the wall? Write in the comments. About 6 years ago, a man working the night shift at a power plant in Texas was conducting routine electrical tests. The facility was quiet, filled only with the hum of machines and flickering industrial lights. That was when he noticed a strange glow drifting in the air, a floating orb of light that seemed to move with intention. Moments later, the glow shifted, stretching into a vague human-like figure. Startled, he took a photo. The image captured something standing where nothing should have been, a hazy but distinct form lingering in the middle of the cold, metallic environment. The sight left him shaken. The plant had always felt empty at night, but after that moment, it felt occupied. What do you think appeared inside the power plant? Share your ideas. This image was taken inside a young woman's home, a place where, according to her, many strange and unexplainable events had occurred. She often had vivid dreams about an elderly woman she had never met, a face that felt both unfamiliar and deeply personal. Now, when people look at this photograph, many believe they can see that same figure present in the image. The photo remains a mystery. It could be a trick of the light, a coincidence of shadows, or something far more unsettling. Regardless of the explanation, the image carries an oppressive feeling, as if the walls of the house still remember something that once lived, or lingered, there. What do you think appeared in this home? Share your thoughts. The photograph shows a woman standing near a window, preparing her famous chicken noodle soup, a family recipe passed down for generations. No one realized at the time that this would be the last time she would ever make it. Her child often took pictures of her, but only later, while looking through old photos, did something strange become visible. In the window behind her, a faint silhouette appears, a shape that resembles her grandmother. The mother herself admitted the figure seemed oddly familiar. The kitchen was on the second floor, with no balcony or access from outside, making the presence in the window impossible to explain. The image leaves behind a powerful and emotional unease, as if someone from the family's distant past had quietly returned, watching one final moment unfold. Who do you think was standing at that window? Write in the comments. A group of friends posed for what seemed like a completely ordinary photograph. But behind them is something that almost nobody notices at first glance. A blurred, unsettling figure. It seems as though it should not be there. Or perhaps it was never there at all. The strangest part is that once it is noticed, it becomes impossible to ignore. Did you spot it? a group of friends gathered for a photograph. Everyone present that evening agrees there were only 5 people there. Some time later, the image was reviewed again and the brightness was slightly increased. That was when a detail nobody had noticed before suddenly appeared. Standing between the group was a small girl. She was not standing there when the photo was taken. Nobody remembers seeing a child nearby. In fact, everyone insists that no strangers were present at the time. The strangest part is that the figure appears completely natural, as though she had always been part of the photograph. Who do you think the girl was? At first glance, everything looks normal, but a closer look at the left side of the background reveals something strange. It appears as though something unsettling was standing outside the window. What makes the image even more disturbing is that, during that period, the young woman claimed she constantly felt tormented by something in the house, both day and night. What do you think was outside the window? He stood alone in the middle of a dark road, illuminated only by a bright beam of light. At first, it seemed like an ordinary photograph taken among the trees at night. Later, however, attention shifted to a strange detail in the background. Deep within the image, almost hidden by darkness, stood a mysterious figure dressed in a long light-colored garment. It appeared to be watching from the shadows, unnoticed at the moment the photograph was taken. Nobody could explain who or what had entered the frame that night. The longer people examined the image, the more questions arose. A random passerby, a trick of light and shadow, or something far more mysterious? What do you think it was? A group of students took a routine photograph during a trip. Nobody suspected anything unusual had been captured. Only later did one of them notice a disturbing detail in the window on the right side. A human-shaped silhouette was clearly visible behind the glass. But the most frightening part was that the figure appeared to have no head. The bus was moving at the time, and none of the passengers remember anyone nearby, especially not someone capable of keeping pace with the vehicle. What do you think was seen outside the bus? This photograph was meant to be an ordinary family memory. Years later, it became a mystery. Around 10 years ago, the entire family gathered at their grandmother's house. Such reunions were rare, so photographs were being taken constantly. While relatives were lining up for a group picture, someone accidentally pressed the camera button too early. At first glance, the image looked completely normal. But later, when it was reviewed, a strange figure was noticed in the center of the frame. A blurred silhouette appeared to be standing among the family members, even though nobody had been there at that moment. Adding to the mystery, several people in the photograph seemed to be looking directly toward it. The creepiest part is that this was not the only unusual image taken in that house. Over the years, several photographs featuring unexplained silhouettes and shadows have reportedly been captured there. What do you think appeared in the center of the photo? At first glance, this image simply shows an ordinary room. But the eye is almost immediately drawn to the left side of the frame. At first, it looks like nothing more than shadow and darkness. But the longer someone stares, the stranger it begins to feel. In the dim light, the faint shape of what looks like a little girl seems to appear. The figure is not fully clear, almost as if it does not completely belong to the space around it. Her outline is soft and blurred, yet distinct enough that it feels impossible to ignore. There is an eerie sense that she is standing apart from the rest of the room, silently observing. Even if explained away as lighting or random shadows, the feeling of presence remains, as though something appeared there for only a moment and was accidentally captured. Do you see the figure too? Write your thoughts in the comments. A trail camera in the Sabine National Forest triggered multiple times. Almost every image captured was either empty or completely ordinary, except one. In a single photograph, a dark figure appears deep in the woods. At first glance, it resembles a human shape, but something about it looks wrong. Its outline is blurred and distorted, almost unnatural against the surrounding trees. Because none of the other images showed anything unusual, this one frame quickly became the center of attention. Some believe it was simply an animal caught mid-motion or a camera malfunction. Others are less convinced. They believe something unknown may have been standing in the forest. What was hiding between those trees? Write your thoughts in the comments. This final image was taken by clinic staff and quickly spread online. At first glance, it shows nothing unusual, just an empty wheelchair in a hallway. But when you look at the floor's reflection, a faint human figure appears standing right beside it. No one was in the frame when the photo was taken. No shadows matched the shape. Many believe it's the spirit of a patient who once used that chair, still waiting to be moved one last time. Could this be proof that even reflections remember the dead? This story comes from Albuquerque, New Mexico. In the winter of 2012, a woman visited her sister for the holidays. Her sister went to the ABQ River of Lights Festival, an annual celebration filled with glowing displays and illuminated pathways. She took dozens of photos that night. But when she came home and connected her USB camera to her brother's computer, one image stood out. In the lower left corner, a faint female silhouette appeared, semi-transparent, as if glowing faintly through the crowd. The strange part, no one remembered anyone standing there. If someone had been in the way, they would have waited or asked her to move. Yet the figure appeared clear as day. So if no one was there, then who was? Coincidence? Or something haunting the River of Lights? A friend sent this image to the uploader, saying he didn't know what to think. The photo was taken late at night in his bedroom. He lived alone. In the picture, a blanket can be seen, and above it, something white, almost human-shaped, leaning over. The faint outline resembles someone sitting on top of the man as he slept. He swore no one else was there, and the house was locked. Yet the form above him looked solid, like a shadow that decided to take shape. Was this just a trick of shadows, or something watching him while he slept? The old Kennesaw House in Marietta, Georgia, has long been considered one of the city's darkest corners. Back during the Civil War, its rooms echoed with the moans of the wounded and the dying screams of soldiers. The building served as both a hospital and a morgue at the same time. Today, it houses the Marietta History Museum, but the atmosphere of the past seems to linger. One of the most famous photographs taken in the museum seems to pull viewers out of reality. A ghostly figure can be seen standing in the dim light of the hall. Its outline is blurry, yet distinct enough to send chills down your spine. Museum staff claim that strange footsteps and quiet voices are often heard in this spot, and the halls can suddenly grow icy, even on the hottest days. The photo became a sensation. Many visitors say that looking at it makes them feel another presence, as if someone is standing right behind them. The history of a building once filled with death continues to whisper through the centuries, and this image is just one of its reminders. This photo was taken shortly before a wedding. Only 2 people were in the room at the time, and both were standing behind the camera. Nothing seemed unusual in the moment, but a closer look tells a different story. The image captured something that cannot be easily explained. A figure or silhouette appears in the frame as if it came from nowhere, yet no one can determine what it is. A coincidence, a camera glitch, or something not meant to be seen. Some moments in life are frozen by a camera, yet remain forever beyond explanation. This photo is one of them. What do you think appeared in this room? Write in the comments. This image shows a basement where only the camera operator, 2 people, and a dog were present. No one else was there. Yet in the photo, a dark, blurry figure can be seen, something that should not exist in that space. It creates an uneasy feeling, like an unwanted presence watching from the shadows. It is impossible to say for sure what it is, a camera defect, a trick of light, or something paranormal. The blurred outline only deepens the sense of quiet dread. What do you think was in that basement? Share your thoughts in the comments. This photo sparked intense discussion online, especially among Japanese users. At first glance, it looks normal, a girl standing next to her mother. No one else was in the room. But on closer inspection, a figure appears on the right. It is not blurred or accidental. Its shape is disturbingly familiar. It looks like the girl's brother, who died tragically several years earlier. They did not notice him at the moment the photo was taken. The realization came later, when the past seemed to step back into the room and silently stand beside them. Coincidence? Or did someone find a way to return, just for a moment? What do you think appeared in this photo? Write in the comments. The photo shows an old hallway lined with antique tiles, dimly lit by a single flickering light. On the left, a half-open wooden door stands slightly ajar. A human-like figure with a faint, indistinct face peers out from the shadows, almost blending with them. The longer one looks, the stronger the sense that this presence is aware of being seen, silently waiting to be noticed. The atmosphere in the corridor feels heavy, as if the air itself remembers something terrible. What was that figure doing there, standing so still, watching, or waiting? What do you think? Trick of light, or something far more sinister lurking in the dark? After an evening walk near the forest, a group of friends decided to take one last photo before heading home. They stood smiling in front of the trees, unaware that something else was standing behind them. Only later, at home, did they notice the terrifying detail. Between the dark trunks, a blurred shape appeared, tall, vaguely human, with 2 faintly glowing eyes staring straight at the camera. None of them remember seeing anyone there. The figure's outline is distorted, like a shadow that doesn't belong to anyone. Some who've seen the image say it feels as if the forest itself is alive, watching, breathing, hiding something old and hungry among the trees. What do you think those glowing eyes belong to? The owner of this image says strange things have happened in their home before. But that evening felt different. He was not home. His wife was alone when the dog suddenly began barking wildly and acting terrified. Frightened, she checked the security cameras and took a screenshot of what she saw. The cameras had been installed only recently because of break-ins in the area. Her phone was new too, making it unlikely that an old image could have somehow appeared on the screen. A year and a half earlier, the couple had lost their son. When they looked closely at the screenshot, they noticed what looked like the outline of a face. When compared to a photo of the boy, the resemblance seemed disturbingly close. The owner admits it could be grief shaping what they see, but the feeling from the image refuses to fade. That is why it was shared, in hopes of understanding whether it was just coincidence, or something far more unsettling. What do you think appeared on the camera? Share your thoughts. This photo was taken around 10 p.m. inside the underground cellar of the ancient pub known as the Osnaburg in Forfar. The photographer, Jill Emmy, later said around 20 photos had been taken in a row, but only one contained something strange. At the moment of the photo, the woman in the frame had simply bent down to pick something up from the floor. But later, behind her, people noticed something deeply unsettling. A strange figure appeared in the background, something nobody remembered seeing at the time. Several paranormal investigators reportedly examined the image and admitted that it raised difficult questions. So what do you think was standing there in the darkness? Tell everyone in the comments. They took the photo around midnight in the hallway of an old house, simply posing as a joke. Inside, the lights flickered, and strange sounds occasionally echoed from within the walls, breaking the silence. Later, while looking through the image, something unsettling appeared in the background. A dark silhouette of a girl seemed to be standing silently in the corner. At the moment the picture was taken, nobody remembered seeing anyone there. Was someone really standing in the hallway, or was it something else? Write in the comments. While looking through a childhood photo of his ex, he unexpectedly noticed something disturbing hidden in the background. A strange figure seemed to be lurking in the shadows, almost blending into the darkness while silently staring from within the frame. Nobody remembers anyone standing there when the picture was taken, and that unsettling detail only makes the image feel even more disturbing. What do you think was hiding in the shadows? Let everyone know in the comments. The owner of the photograph claims it was taken during an overnight stay inside an abandoned shelter, where something strange was reportedly captured. Inside the frame appears a fog-like anomaly, a thick, unnatural haze unlike ordinary dust, steam, or mist. It almost seems to have its own shape and movement, gathering unnaturally in one part of the space, as though something unseen briefly revealed itself for a moment. Because of this, the image creates the disturbing feeling that it was not simply lighting or the atmosphere of an abandoned building, but a moment when the place itself seemed to react to human presence, revealing something normally hidden from sight. What do you think appeared in that abandoned place? Tell everyone in the comments. This photograph belongs to Melissa Cohen and was reportedly taken on New Year's Eve, when, according to her, only she and her son were nearby. But a closer look at the image reveals something strange standing behind the boy. Not a dark shadow, but a pale, nearly faded figure that seems strangely out of place, as though it does not fully belong to reality. The shape does not look entirely human. Its outline appears blurred, the proportions slightly distorted, and its presence feels deeply unsettling, as though something slipped into the frame that was never supposed to be there. What do you think was standing behind him? Write in the comments. The photograph was taken during a girl's 12th birthday celebration, when everyone gathered around the table for a group picture. Later, while reviewing the photos, people noticed something deeply unsettling in one of the frames. A dark figure had appeared. It was visible in only a single photograph and never appeared again in any other image. Nobody present could explain who, or what, it might have been. What makes the image especially disturbing is how completely black the silhouette appears, with no visible features at all, as if something unknown had briefly stepped into the frame. What do you think appeared in the photo? Write in the comments. An ordinary photo of parents unexpectedly gained attention online and quickly became the subject of discussions. In the image, the couple appeared to be alone in a room, but later, people noticed a strange silhouette in the background, as if someone else had been standing there the entire time. What disturbed viewers the most was the face in the background. It looked unsettling, and the eyes appeared unusually pale, almost white. This sparked debates about what had really been captured, a trick of light and shadow, an optical illusion, or something far harder to explain. What do you think appeared in the photo? Share your thoughts in the comments. This photograph was taken in a family home after a series of unsettling and unexplained events. Strange noises echoing through empty rooms, sudden coldness in the air, and objects moving on their own. The picture was taken in the very room where the family's beloved mother and grandmother had recently passed away. The photographer, one of her grandchildren, believes the image captured more than just shadows. The eerie face in the photograph appears pale and contorted, as though emerging from the air itself. Whether it truly resembles the grandmother or merely mimics a human form is unclear, but the expression, frozen in an unsettling mixture of sorrow and intensity, draws the eyes immediately. Some family members think the spirit remained to watch over the home one last time. Others fear the presence may be something entirely different. But one thing is certain, the face does not blend naturally with the surroundings. It stands out, stark and undeniable, staring directly into the lens. Do you think this is the spirit of the grandmother, or something else? Share your opinion below. The owner of this image wrote, "My 3-year-old son was trying to take a picture of me. He did not realize the camera was pointed backward. He snapped several photos within seconds. When he finished, I took the camera to delete the pictures to free up space. The first 2 shots were blurry and unremarkable, but when I reached the 3rd one, there was a terrifying face behind him. I have never seen this man in my life. We were home alone, and it was not me. I know what I look like." The photograph shows the child smiling, completely unaware that behind him, partially emerging from the dark, is a face, gaunt, pale, unfamiliar. The eyes appear hollow, almost sunken, yet intensely focused on the boy. The expression is unnatural, frozen in a way no living person's face should be. The owner still cannot explain what the camera captured. The house was empty. The doors were locked. No one else was there. And yet the photo suggests something, or someone, was standing only inches behind the child, silent and invisible to the naked eye. Who do you think this face belongs to? Comment below. This photograph was taken by a nurse inside an intensive care unit at a hospital in Colorado. At the time, nothing unusual was noticed. It was just another quiet moment during a long shift. Later, while reviewing the image, she saw something she was certain had not been there before, a strange, ghost-like silhouette in a part of the room that had been completely empty. No patients, no staff. The figure exists only in the photograph, blurred, pale, almost transparent, yet too defined to be dismissed as a simple reflection or glare. Its outline appears human, but its presence feels wrong, like something caught between appearing and fading away. What do you think was captured in that ICU room? Share your thoughts. Late one evening, a man took this photo inside a hospital room, not to keep a memory, but to say goodbye. His mother was dying of cancer after a long and painful illness. At the exact moment he pressed the shutter, the room was empty. She had just been taken into surgery. He photographed the hospital bed one last time, unaware that this minute would become the final one. Later, a doctor told him the official time of death matched the timestamp on the image, 11:56 p.m. For the last 2 weeks of her life, she had rarely stopped crying out, whether from unbearable pain or the desperate need to finally let go. When the man later looked at the picture, a chill ran through him. In the image, a faint silhouette seemed to form above the bed, and it looked as if it too was screaming. He believes that night his mother's spirit came back to say farewell. He later brightened a second copy of the photo, not to convince anyone, but to keep it close as a final reminder. What do you think appeared in that hospital room? In one video, a young woman stood on a terrace late in the evening. She asked a close friend to take her picture. Everything seemed normal at first glance, just a quiet night and 2 people enjoying the moment. But on the right side of the image, in the background, a dark silhouette appears. Its outline is uneven, vaguely human yet unmistakably distorted. The woman insists she was alone there with her friend, and no one else stood on the terrace that night. Whatever the shadow was, it seems to stand too close, too still, as if it had been watching them. What do you think this silhouette was? At first glance, everything seems normal in this picture, 2 girls taking a cheerful selfie. But the eye quickly shifts to the background. The form is blurred, unnaturally elongated, like a shadow that doesn't belong to any object in the room. The upper part has no recognizable head or face, only a mass of darkness beneath something that resembles a long, draped cloth. The image feels like an accidental capture of a presence that usually stays hidden from human sight, a dark anomaly watching them from behind. What do you think they photographed? The bathroom looks ordinary. A person takes a simple picture of themselves, unaware of anything unusual, but behind them, the door is slightly open, and in the dark gap, something waits. Its outline is hazy, as though the darkness itself has taken a shape. The more one looks, the stronger the feeling becomes that the figure is not simply standing there, it is watching. Its presence feels almost physical, like cold air seeping from the doorway. No one knows where it came from or why it appeared at that moment. But whatever it is, it should not have been there. What do you think is hiding behind the door? The photograph shows a simple room. A young woman stands slightly off to the left, her face hidden, not for any mystical reason, simply because she didn't want it shown. But even without her face, it is clear she is not the focal point of this picture. In the dark glass of the door on the right side, a silhouette appears. It looks as though someone is standing deep inside the room or directly behind the glass. The figure stands perfectly still, as if watching quietly from the shadows. The woman insists she was completely alone in the apartment. No one else was home. Who do you think is standing behind the door? The final photograph shows a young medical worker in blue scrubs, captured inside a hospital room. Everything appears routine, bright lights, equipment, white walls. But next to her stands a translucent figure. Its outline is faint, blurred, yet unmistakably close. The woman claimed she was alone. No one stood near her, no one walked past. And yet the camera captured a silhouette impossible to explain. Recently, one of her patients had passed away, quietly, without any warning. She never linked the event to anything unusual, until this photo. The figure in the image does not radiate aggression or menace. Instead, it carries a sense of sorrow, as if someone returned for a final goodbye. Was this a spirit saying farewell? Share your thoughts in the comments. Local residents believe this photo captures the ghostly silhouette of a woman who returned to avenge the sale of a beloved building. Activists had rented the old Stafford Library for 6 months to demonstrate its potential as a community space and prevent its sale to private investors. During a late evening performance in the Grade 2 listed building in January, Chris Healy noticed something in a photograph, a figure floating behind musician Jonathan Watkins. Activists speculate that it could be one of two elderly sisters who, according to local legend, refused to surrender the building in 1912 until a contract was signed guaranteeing it would remain in public hands. Jonathan himself stated that the image clearly shows a woman leaning over them. Many believe it is one of the sisters returning to protect the building. Has someone truly come back to guard it? The owner of this photograph explained that before moving into the apartment, they were officially informed that someone had previously died there. At first, it was just a detail. Then strange things began to happen. The true fear started when something was discovered in his daughter's room. He does not remember seeing anything unusual the night before while putting her to bed. At first, he tried to explain it logically. He compared the hand seen in the image to his own, wondering if perhaps he had closed the closet door himself. But the arm in the photo is too large, disproportionate. And he never grabs the door from the middle. Around 9 in the morning, he heard his daughter clearly say, "No," in her sleep. She sometimes talks while sleeping, so he did not rush in. Later, however, he noticed she was lying in bed facing the closet door. Other details add to the unease. Groans and faint crying have been heard in the apartment. The family cat reacts to unseen movements. At night, even with rain sounds playing for comfort, whispers seem to cut through the noise. As sleep begins, a crushing weight presses down on his body. He feels awake, yet unable to move. In that state, he opens his eyes and sees the closet and bathroom doors wide open, hearing quiet murmuring nearby. Fighting to move or make a sound becomes the only way to break free. The bathroom motion sensor light turns on by itself, even when the door is closed. After all of this, the strange mark in his daughter's room no longer feels like coincidence. Since then, the sense that they are not alone has never left. What is living in that apartment? This seemingly innocent photograph was taken during a ghost hunt inside a now-closed orphanage. At first glance, it appears ordinary, a mother and her son standing together in a quiet, abandoned room. But to the right of them, something else seems to have formed in the frame. What looks like the face of a little girl emerges from the background, tangled hair hanging unevenly around a dirt-stained face. Her features are faint yet disturbingly clear, as if pressed against the thin veil between worlds. Those present that day insist there was no one standing behind the mother and child. The space was physically empty. No person could have been there. And yet the photograph suggests otherwise. The expression on the girl's face is not friendly. It carries no joy, no innocence. Instead, there is something cold in her stare, something that does not belong. The longer the image is observed, the stronger the feeling becomes, an unwelcome presence captured by the camera, unnoticed in real time. What was standing in that orphanage room? Write in the comments. This photograph was taken in August 2007 at Comstock Lodge. The only source of light in the room was a single lamp visible in the image. The photographer insists he was alone at the time. His wife and daughter were waiting in the car. When the image is enhanced, a dense, dark figure becomes visible. It stands out clearly against the dim surroundings. The shape appears too solid, too defined to be dismissed as random lighting. It has mass, presence. If no one else was there, what cast that shadow? Write your theories in the comments. This photograph was shared by a woman who took it about 11 years ago during a nighttime ghost hunt inside the caretaker's house at Manly Q Station. At the moment the picture was taken, nothing unusual was seen. The room appeared empty. Only later, while studying the image more closely, did something unsettling reveal itself. At first it resembles a shadow, something easy to dismiss. But the more it is examined, the stranger it becomes. The lower part of the figure appears almost dissolved, fading into the air like mist. Higher up, however, the shape grows denser, gradually forming what resembles a torso and head. It is as if something was materializing mid-frame, caught in the act of stepping out of darkness. This unnatural transition, from transparency to form, is what makes the image deeply disturbing. It creates the impression that something was slowly emerging, visible only to the lens. What was taking shape in that house? Share your thoughts. They were sitting in the living room, candles flickering on the windowsill, filling the room with warm, almost ritual silence. It was a peaceful evening, except for the dog. She sat still, staring at something no one else could see. At first they assumed she heard a noise. Then, that she sensed a scent. But her gaze was too focused, too intense. A guest took a picture. Later, when they zoomed in, they realized what she had been watching. Next to her were legs, pale, faint, not belonging to anyone in the room. The shape suggested someone standing next to the dog, though no one had seen anyone there. Only the dog reacted. She growled softly, then howled when one of the candles suddenly went out by itself. Who stood beside the dog? He noticed it before leaving for work. A figure stood at the top landing of the stairs, illuminated by the hallway light, motionless, too perfect to be a shadow. He assumed it was clothing or furniture at first, but the outline was too solid, too attentive. When he climbed the stairs, the landing was empty. No coat, no objects. Only a dense silence, as if someone had left the moment before, or was still nearby. Who was standing on the stairs? Write your thoughts in the comments. Port Arthur in Tasmania is one of the darkest and most haunted historic sites in Australia. Founded in 1830 as a penal colony, it became a symbol of cruelty and psychological torture. Prisoners were kept in isolation, forced into silence, stripped even of their names. Hundreds died there over the decades, and the place became saturated with stories of ghosts and unexplained events. But its most horrifying chapter came in 1996, when a mass shooting took place on the grounds. 35 people were killed, dozens injured. The tragedy changed Australia forever and left a permanent scar on Port Arthur's atmosphere. Many say the place breathes pain and that its shadows are not just shadows. In the photo stands the door of the Trentham Cottage, one of the buildings in the complex. Behind the glass is a figure, the silhouette of a man in a hat, standing in an empty, locked room. The cottage was officially closed, and no one could have been inside. Locals believe this figure is not one ghost, but an echo of collective suffering, a shape drawn from the memories of those who died here. They say those who see the figure begin to hear whispers. What was standing behind the glass? These photographs were taken at the Jerome Grand Hotel in Arizona, a location known for its dark past. The building once operated as the United Verde Hospital, where nearly 9,000 people reportedly died. Visitors frequently report shadow figures, strange noises, and glowing orbs. On one of the most active floors, a figure appeared in the hallway. It resembled flowing white fabric cascading downward along the wall, like a dress drifting without a body. The shape looked both ethereal and disturbingly real, as if someone from another era were walking those halls again. Whether it was lighting or something paranormal, the images are breathtaking and deeply unsettling. What truly walks those corridors? At first, the owner of this photo didn't think much of it. It seemed ordinary, but upon closer inspection, a chilling detail emerged. To the right of a woman's head, against what appeared to be a regular trash container, the faint but unmistakable face of a young boy became visible. The woman suggested that the container simply created the illusion of a body, but the features above it were difficult to ignore: eyes, a nose, a mouth. Clear enough to send a chill down the spine. It looked as if a child were peering out from the background, silently observing the scene. Whether it was a trick of light, shadow, or something far stranger remains unknown. Who was watching from behind her? On New Year's Eve, a man took several photos after arranging gifts. At first glance, everything appeared normal, but upon closer inspection, one image revealed something deeply unsettling. A face had emerged, unfamiliar, intrusive, and chilling. It seemed to look directly out from the photograph, creating the unmistakable sensation that someone else had been present in that room. What was captured in that frame remains an unresolved mystery. What do you see in that photo? This story is connected to a photograph taken 1 year after the death of a cousin. The person who took the picture claims that her silhouette unexpectedly appeared in the image, as if she had returned to send a sign. The most disturbing coincidence is that the photo was taken just 2 weeks before a tragic accident. The photographer later suffered severe facial burns from boiling water. He believes the image was a warning, an attempt to protect him, a reminder that someone was still watching over him. Later, he shared another photograph, one taken while she was still alive, so others could compare the resemblance. The original image had been forgotten for years before being rediscovered. Now he wonders whether it was merely coincidence, or if someone truly tried to intervene from beyond. Was it a warning? What do you think? The young woman recalled that the incident happened about 13 years ago. She and her friends were enjoying the evening, drinking, laughing. Someone suggested taking a photo. When she looked at the picture, she froze in terror. On the left side of the frame emerged the figure of an elderly man with deep-set, dark eyes. His expression was blank yet piercingly serious. His face carried both sorrow and something sinister. She admitted the memory still gives her chills. She never understood who, or what, it was. A ghost? Or something older, watching them through time and darkness. What do you think this man was? The girl lost her brother in childhood. He was struck by a car while playing near the road. Since then, she has struggled with nightmares and guilt. One day, while looking through old photographs, she noticed something horrifying. In one image, her brother appeared to be screaming in pain. The vision was so disturbing that she has never been able to forget it. She believes it was truly him, as if he were trying to communicate from another world. Was it grief shaping perception, or a message from beyond? The man who posted this image said that several years ago, his cousin visited New Orleans. After the photo was uploaded and examined closely, something strange became visible. Directly behind his cousin, half of a face appears in the frame. And it does not look human. At that moment, there was no one else on the street except the two of them. Yet the disturbing image remains in the background, unexplained and unsettling. If no one else was there, whose face was that? During a Christmas dinner, a simple commemorative photograph was taken. At the time, it seemed to include only 3 people. But upon closer inspection, something disturbing becomes visible to the right, behind one of the women. It appears that they were not alone that evening. There was another presence, uninvited, unnoticed, and silently standing among them. Who joined their dinner that night? A man named Flip shared this unsettling photo taken on his birthday using an old Sony Ericsson phone. He had quickly snapped a picture of 2 friends without paying attention to the result and certainly not expecting anything unusual. The quality was poor, just a typical early mobile phone image. Later, while zooming in, he noticed something disturbing behind them. A twisted, unnatural face appeared in the background. The more the image is enlarged, the more unsettling the expression becomes, as if frozen in silent agony. No one remembers seeing anyone else nearby. There were no mirrors or reflective surfaces behind them. The face seems to exist only in the photograph. What do you think appeared behind them that night? The person who took this picture said it shows his daughter and her friend dancing in the living room. They had been laughing and moving to the song, "Walk Like an Egyptian," asking him to capture the moment. At the time, nothing seemed strange. Later, while reviewing the image, he noticed a figure deep in the background of the room, a shape that had definitely not been there. That evening, only 3 people were inside the house, him and the 2 girls. No one else entered, and no one stood behind them during the photo. The shape appears dark and human-like, half hidden in shadow, as if silently watching from the far corner. He admitted he never showed the picture to the children. According to him, his daughter would never have slept peacefully again after seeing it. What do you think was standing in that room? A boy took this photo at the beginning of the school year inside his high school classroom. The room appeared empty except for the 4 students in the picture. But between him and the student on the right, a strange, unfamiliar face can be seen. He only noticed it recently. When he showed the image to others, they did not laugh. They knew the story. Years earlier, a student had been isolated and avoided by classmates. He later took his own life. Some believed his spirit never left the school, and now, it seemed, he had appeared in a photo with the new students. What do you think was captured in that classroom? Write in the comments. Mary King's Close in Edinburgh, Scotland, has long been known as a place inhabited by ghosts. This photograph, provided by the Real Mary King's Close, an organization offering tours through the underground streets, allegedly captures one of those spirits. In the doorway stands a semi-transparent figure of a woman, her outline faint but unmistakable. The air around her seems warped, as if the figure disrupts the photograph itself. Her posture looks unnatural, slightly leaned as though stepping forward, or waiting. Visitors and tour guides have often reported the presence of a female spirit wandering the old corridors. Many believe this image may be proof of her existence, drifting silently in a place long forgotten by the living. What do you think appears in the doorway? Let us know in the comments. This picture was taken in 1976 by the owner's stepfather. Behind the mother and the young girl, a blurred face appears in the background, indistinct yet undeniably human-shaped. No one in the family has been able to identify the figure, and to this day they have no explanation. The face seems to hover, disconnected from any body, as if floating in the shadows behind them. Many who saw the image online described the expression as unsettling, almost mournful. Whatever the photograph captured remains a mystery, but its presence behind the family is impossible to ignore. Who, or what, do you think this face belongs to? Comment below. This incident occurred around 2 a.m. on the grandfather's ranch. Because everyone needed to leave early in the morning and the cold was extreme, the family was told to start the car ahead of time. The photographer went outside with an older cousin. In the near total darkness, the cousin accidentally turned on the camera instead of the flash. When the camera lit up the area, a figure appeared, the shape of a boy standing with his head tilted, his jaw seemingly broken or deformed. "Look, it's a boy," the photographer said, but when they asked his name, he did not respond. He only stood there silently, unmoving. Terrified, they ran inside to tell the adults. The next morning, ranch workers explained that a child had once died in that exact spot, an 8-year-old boy who never made it home. The photograph matches the story disturbingly well, a dark figure with a twisted face standing alone in the cold night. Was this the spirit of the lost child? Share your thoughts. This photograph comes from the era when film was the only option. It shows the great-great-grandmother of the photographer's co-worker. The photo was taken by her grandfather while the house was burning. By that time, the woman had already been dead for many years. Yet in the photograph, she appears in the kitchen, clearly visible despite the flames and the smoke. Her figure stands in the empty house as if completely unaffected by the fire, watching from the place she once called home. Whether this was her spirit returning one last time or something imitating her shape will never be known. But the image of a deceased woman standing calmly inside a burning house continues to unsettle everyone who sees it. What do you think appeared in that kitchen? Tell us in the comments. The owner of this Polaroid shared, "On the right is my mother, and on the left is my aunt." The photograph was supposed to show just the two of them. "I swear no one was standing behind my mother. If someone had been there, the camera would not have darkened out the entire space like that. This is not staged, not edited. I grew up in a house where strange things happen constantly. Everyone in my family has their own stories, and we even had group experiences that I will never forget. Please look closely and see if you notice anything wrong. I would love to hear your thoughts. I am open to logical explanations, but based on everything we've lived through, it seems like this is the thing that was following us for years." Behind the woman in the photo, just to the right, a shadowy figure forms, tall, dark, and almost unnaturally still. The darkness around it feels thicker than the rest of the image, as though light bends away from that spot. There are no visible features, only the silhouette of something standing far too close, watching silently while the two women pose unaware. The family's stories of past encounters suddenly gain weight when paired with this image. If something truly followed them for years, perhaps this photograph is its most undeniable appearance. Who or what is standing behind them? Tell us your thoughts. After experiencing a series of unexplained events, a man installed a surveillance camera directly in his bedroom. One morning, while reviewing the footage, he was shocked. A ghostly silhouette was clearly visible in the room, appearing to stand nearby. He has been unable to find any rational explanation for the image. What do you think was captured in that bedroom? A trail camera placed in a wooded area captured an image that shocked many people, especially those who believe in the paranormal. The user who posted the unsettling photo online raised a disturbing question. If the figure in the image were simply a person wearing a hooded sweatshirt, why would a wild deer allow someone to approach so closely? The deer appears completely unaware, standing calmly as the dark figure looms nearby. There is no sign of alarm, no reaction. Many commenters agreed that the shape does not look entirely human. Its posture and presence seem wrong, almost otherworldly. What was standing in that forest? This photograph was sent in by a subscriber. In 2007, she was working as a real estate agent in Killeen, Texas, helping pay her college bills. One day, she received a call from a stranger who introduced himself as a resident of Connecticut. He asked if she would handle the sale of his house. She agreed. The man mailed her the keys and explained that the property had been vacant for a long time. No one was living there. The same day the keys arrived, she drove to the house and began taking photos for the listing. Nothing unusual happened at the time. The rooms were empty. The air felt still. That night, however, she had a nightmare. In the dream, she was standing in the living room of that same house, unable to move. Her legs felt frozen in place. The house looked exactly as it had earlier that day, silent and empty. Suddenly, a small boy ran out of one of the bedrooms. He stopped in the living room and stared directly at her. She began shouting at him, as if he were an intruder who did not belong there. At that moment, an adult man stepped out of the bedroom, grabbed the boy by the neck, and dragged him back inside. Almost instantly, police burst through the front door. At that exact second, she woke up. The next day, she told her mother about the dream. Her mother suggested it might have been a vision of something that once happened in the house and asked to see the listing photos. While examining the images, her mother noticed something chilling. In one of the photos, a faint, ghostly silhouette seemed to be staring directly at the camera at the moment the picture was taken. Even stranger, shortly afterward another man from a different state called and insisted he wanted to buy the house. He was so eager that he offered $20,000 above the asking price. She never met either the seller or the buyer in person. What exactly drew that man to the property remains a mystery. What happened inside that house? Write your thoughts in the comments. According to local legend, the spirit of a heartbroken woman named Suki wanders the Hellfire Caves in Buckinghamshire, England. The story claims she was a young barmaid betrayed and lured into the caves at night, left to die in total darkness. In this photograph, a mysterious female figure appears among the shadows. Her outline is faint but unmistakable, blending with the rocky walls as though part of the cave itself. The atmosphere of the image feels heavy with tragedy. It is as if the legend briefly stepped out of folklore and into reality. Is this truly Suki's restless spirit? This image was reportedly sent by a former schoolteacher. Almost nothing is known about the circumstances. No clear explanation. No detailed account. Only one fact remains. At the exact moment the photograph was taken, something appeared in the frame. The figure emits a faint greenish glow and bears a face that is difficult to describe without discomfort. The features are distorted, unnatural, almost mask-like. There are no answers, no background story, and perhaps that absence of context is what makes the image especially unsettling. Something was there, but no one knows what it was, or why it appeared. What do you think was captured? A group of children decided to play an old game, daring each other to summon Bloody Mary in front of a mirror. One girl completed the ritual and sent a photo to the group chat. At first glance, she stands alone, smiling. But when the image is brightened, something appears behind her, a strange figure that should not have been there. She had been alone in the room. The shape is subtle yet undeniable, hovering just beyond her shoulder. Did the ritual actually work? What was standing behind her? before going to sleep, a young woman was scrolling through old photos when she noticed something terrifying. In the darkness beside her, barely visible, was a ghostly face. It seems to be staring directly at her, emerging from shadow. She does not recognize it. She has never seen that face before. The fear was intense enough to keep her awake for several nights. In the silence of her room, it felt as if someone was still watching her every movement. What appeared in that photo? The image was taken at a child's birthday party, a place where nothing unusual should happen. Balloons, smiles, celebration. Yet beside the child, faint semi-transparent faces appear. They resemble pale, almost ectoplasmic silhouettes forming out of thin air. No one was smoking. No vapor filled the room. And still, the shapes manifested. The joyful scene becomes something far more unsettling when those faces are noticed. Who attended that party uninvited? The picture was taken during a vacation in New York, in a crowded hostel room during the day. The mood was light. People were laughing, joking, tossing a baseball back and forth. The man's unusual posture in the image is explained by that game. Nothing seemed strange at the time. But later, while reviewing the photograph, one detail stood out, something that did not belong. Behind the man's back, there appears to be a shape. And more disturbingly, what looks like a hand seems to be wrapped around his neck. He describes himself as a skeptic. He has never experienced anything like this before, not prior to that moment, nor after. Yet the image remains. If it was not a trick of light, whose hand was it? This photograph was taken during a family gathering, a normal moment filled with conversation and laughter. Nothing unusual was noticed at the time, but once the film was developed, something unexpected appeared in the background. A brightly illuminated elderly man stood behind the group. No one remembered seeing him during the event. He was not part of the gathering, and he was certainly not a statue. He appeared solid, present, as if quietly observing from the shadows. His expression was unclear, but his presence felt deliberate. How could someone stand there unnoticed? Who was the man in the background? Around 2 in the morning, a young man stepped outside to capture the northern lights using night mode on his phone. The sky was quiet, the air still. As he adjusted the camera, he suddenly heard rustling and movement behind him. Assuming it was probably a deer wandering nearby, he quickly turned and snapped a photo. But what appeared in the image was not an animal. Instead, a strange, distorted figure manifested in the darkness. Something twisted, unnatural, vaguely humanoid yet wrong in proportion. It looked more like something out of folklore than wildlife. The most unsettling detail was the trampoline beside which the shape appeared. Nothing had ever been left on it. He checked it daily. There was never anything there. And yet, in that single frame, something was clearly present. To this day, there is no explanation for what entered the shot. That uncertainty is what makes the image truly disturbing. What was standing behind him that night? Write your thoughts in the comments. These two photographs were taken shortly after a family scattered the ashes of a relative. At the time, nothing unusual was seen. Later, while reviewing the images, strange silhouettes and faint human faces became visible in the background, subtle, but undeniably there. Two explanations quickly formed. The first, it was nothing more than an illusion, light distortions, motion blur, reflections, and pareidolia causing the mind to see faces in randomness. The second possibility was far more unsettling. Perhaps something truly appeared at that moment of farewell, The images continue to spark debate within the family. Even now, they create an unshakable chill. What do you believe was captured in those frames? The man who shared this photo admitted he still struggles to look at it. In the image, a massive mist-like hand appears suspended above his daughter, Molly. The shape looms as if reaching down toward her. That day was warm. No visible breath. No one smoking. No environmental reason for vapor to form. Yet the hand was there, detailed, defined, almost tangible. Looking at the photograph creates an uneasy sensation, as if something shifted in reality for a brief second before the image was captured. What was reaching toward Molly? In this photograph, two girls are visible in the foreground, but behind them, something else stands. The man who examined the image insists he saw something impossible to explain, a silhouette that cannot be dismissed as shadow or lighting distortion. He is convinced it was a ghost. Even if others doubt him, he no longer does. According to him, the shape is unmistakable. It seems to stare directly from the photograph itself, leaving behind a lingering sense of cold and foreign presence that refuses to fade. Who was standing behind them? The owner of the image explained that his uncle had installed a trail camera near the old house of his grandparents, the very place where life once flourished, now reduced to silence and decay. Both grandparents had long since passed away, and the house stood abandoned, as if frozen in time. The camera was motion activated and programmed to take 3 photos whenever movement was detected. That night, something unusual happened. The first 2 images showed nothing out of the ordinary. The yard was empty, still, lifeless. But in the 3rd frame, a figure appeared, something that had not been there moments before. The relatives are convinced it was not a technical glitch or a trick of light. They believe the camera captured something paranormal, perhaps a presence still tied to the house, unwilling to leave what was once home. What appeared in that final image? Write your thoughts in the comments. The man shared that this occurred in 2020 around 3 in the morning, when strange and frightening events began happening inside his home. It felt as though the spirit of a young woman was present. Toys suddenly flew across rooms. Framed photos fell from walls without reason. Dreamcatcher spun violently, as if controlled by an invisible force. Disturbed by these events, he installed a security camera. What the camera recorded only reinforced his belief that something truly was there. A presence that could not be seen with the naked eye but left physical traces behind. Was it a spirit, or something else? The house was old, abandoned, forgotten. Once it had been filled with voices and light. Now it stood in silence, with peeling paint and creaking boards. But one night, the property's security camera detected movement. The protocol required 3 photos in a row. On the first, an empty yard. On the third, also nothing. But on the second frame, a figure. A gray silhouette, shaped like it had been cut from fog. Head, arms, one leg, all visible, yet distorted as if seen through a veil. No footprints, no trail. Just one impossible appearance in a single instant. The owner insisted no human had been there for years. The camera was functional, with no false triggers. And still, something appeared. Or someone. Something that existed for only a fraction of a second, just long enough to be seen. What do you think this figure was? This photograph was taken in a cemetery in New Mexico. Later, The author admitted feeling deeply disturbed by what appeared in the frame. At first, he had only been taking ordinary photos. He had previously captured light orbs before, those small glowing spots that sometimes appear in pictures. But this image felt different. According to both the author and many viewers, deep in the background, a female figure seems to appear. The silhouette looks dark and slightly blurred, but clear enough to resemble a person standing among the gravestones. That detail is exactly what sparked discussion. Some believe it is simply lighting, shadows cast by headstones, or a camera effect caused by nighttime conditions. Others believe it may be an accidentally captured ghost in an old cemetery. Who was standing among those graves? Write your thoughts in the comments. Nearly 2 years have passed since these photos were taken, but the family still remembers them with unease. That day, the author's sister and her fiancé visited their parents' home with the kids. They spent hours clearing weeds and overgrowth in the backyard, working until evening. She took photos to document the progress and her fiancé working near a picnic table. The yard is large and fenced. Later, after everyone left, she reviewed the images and noticed something terrifying. She immediately called her sister and mother on FaceTime. In both photos, her fiancé can be seen bending over near the table, but beside him appears something the family still cannot explain. What do you think was standing in that backyard? Share your thoughts in the comments. In 1929, Mr. Walsh was renovating his home and decided to document the staircase for his project. The only living being in the house with him was his loyal dog, who had been acting strangely restless all day. When the photograph was developed, Mr. Walsh was left in genuine shock. At the top of the staircase landing, a pale white figure stood clearly visible. There were no people and no objects that should have been there. Only him and his dog had been inside the house. Mr. Walsh insisted on the authenticity of the image for the rest of his life. He lived another 14 years and never changed his story, maintaining that the photograph captured something unexplainable that had been present in his home. What do you think was standing on the stairs? Write your thoughts in the comments. During a holiday dinner, friends gathered around a table filled with laughter, conversation, and food. The atmosphere felt completely normal, warm and familiar. But one detail disturbed that sense of comfort. One of the women mentioned that earlier that morning she had seen a white figure quietly pass by. She told the others, but no one recognized the shape or could connect it to anyone they knew. The photo leaves behind an uneasy feeling. The celebration continues, but something unseen seems to linger silently among the guests. What do you think was present at that dinner? Share your opinion in the comments. This photo was taken in a bar in the United Kingdom while staff were preparing to celebrate St. George's Day. At the time, no one noticed anything unusual. Everything seemed routine, but later, while reviewing the image, staff spotted a strange face appearing between two employees. The face looks out of place, watching, yet belonging to no one present. No one could explain its appearance then, and it remains unexplained to this day. Who do you think was looking from between them? Share your thoughts. Lisa says this photo was taken at her wedding 40 years ago. At the time, it was not included in the album. Another shot was chosen instead. Years later, after her uncle, who had also been a photographer, passed away, the image was found among old test prints. It quickly became clear that this was no ordinary photograph. In the upper left corner, just behind the heads of her brother-in-law and cousin, a strange figure appears. Its head looks smaller than the others, and something like a thin veil seems to cover it. The photo was taken on a side staircase, making reflections highly unlikely. Lisa has always believed it was a spirit that somehow entered her wedding photo. Whether it is a trick of light, an anomaly, or something supernatural, the image leaves a deeply unsettling impression. Who do you think attended that wedding uninvited? Share your thoughts. The author of this photograph said it was taken inside the Sultan's Palace in New Orleans, a location connected to a dark 19th century legend. According to the story, a formal gathering once took place there. The evening reportedly ended in tragedy, with every guest allegedly murdered. Since then, the building has gained a disturbing reputation. Locals say it is not truly empty. And sometimes, photographs taken there seem to capture things that should not be present. In one particular image, a ghostly figure appears to manifest within the building. The author believes it may be a lingering trace from one of the people connected to that tragic night. Skeptics, however, argue that the figure is nothing more than reflected light, shadow, or visual distortion caused by the architecture. Still, the image continues to be discussed. The young woman was simply taking a picture of her dog sitting by the window. When she reviewed the photo later, she froze. Reflected in the glass was the faint outline of a man hovering just outside, pale, transparent, and clearly not there when the picture was taken. His face is blurred, but his form unmistakable, as though caught between worlds. The woman posted the photo online, desperate for an explanation, but none came. The house was on the second floor, the window locked. Some users claim they see a shadow of a hat or a faint arm reaching toward the glass. Was it the spirit of a lost soul, or something that came too close that night? Dated 1999, the photo shows what appears to be a happy family, parents smiling, children laughing. But on the right side of the frame, something else can be seen. A figure, thin, distorted, with a cruel grin, seems to reach toward the little girl. The mother's eyes, too, look wrong, unnaturally closed, as if she's under some strange influence. Viewers have described the image as deeply unsettling, claiming they can sense malice in the expression of the unknown figure. Some believe it's a camera glitch. Others think the photo captured something darker, a presence trying to insert itself into the living. Could evil truly linger within a single moment, frozen forever in a family portrait? This picture was taken in the summer of 2011 in rural Western Oregon, at a family property that had been in use since the 1970s. A man photographed two little girls playing in a creek. Only days later, when he finally sent the photo, did he notice something horrifying. In the upper left corner stood a third girl, watching them. No one present knew her. She wasn't there when the picture was taken. The image is clear. She's pale, with dark eyes, standing in the deepest part of the water. Some say the spot is cursed. Years ago, a child drowned there. The land itself seems to hold memories of that tragedy. Strange noises at night, cold spots, nightmares. What do you think? Coincidence, or a spirit tied forever to that place? The owner shared this strange photo taken aboard the Queen Mary, in the first-class pool area. In the image, a figure suddenly appears, something that does not show up in any other photos taken just before or after. It seems to have appeared out of nowhere. Its outline is unclear, yet it creates the uneasy feeling of a foreign and possibly sinister presence. Those who look at the photo say the figure seems to be watching, silently observing everything around it. What do you think appeared on the ship that day? Write your opinion in the comments. The owner says this photo was taken by a friend's niece at a school in the United Kingdom. In a mirror, a figure can be seen that looks strikingly similar to their late friend, same height, same silhouette. She passed away on February 7, 2006, and now appears frozen in the reflection. The photo is shown alongside a picture of the deceased woman. Viewers are left to decide for themselves: coincidence, camera trick, or something beyond explanation. What do you think is reflected in that mirror? Write in the comments. This image was taken in the London Underground on October 6, 2012, on the way to a concert. Nothing strange was noticed at the time, but a week later, while reviewing the photos, the author's sister and a friend, who had not even been there that day, zoomed in on the picture. Behind him, they discovered a strange and deeply unsettling figure. It frightened them so badly that they panicked and dropped the laptop on the floor. The author says he is open to reasonable explanations, but the figure looks too disturbing to simply ignore. What do you think appeared behind him in the subway? Share your thoughts. In a photo taken by Samuel in 2015, something unexpected appeared. He clearly remembers that only 4 people were in the room at the time. Yet in the picture, it looks like a 5th figure has appeared. Doubts remain. Was it a trick of the light, a camera defect, or something supernatural? The image feels like scenes from classic ghost stories, where strangers appear in photographs long after the moment has passed. Whether someone believes in the paranormal or not, this photo creates a deep sense of mystery. What do you think the camera captured? Share your thoughts in the comments. This photograph was taken during a night tour inside the Myrtles house. Later, while looking through the pictures, a relative noticed a strange figure in one of the shots, something no one had seen at the moment the photo was taken. A chilling question immediately came to mind. Could the image show one of the Woodruff children, whose spirits are said to still haunt the property? What do you think was caught in this historic house? Write your opinion in the comments. This photo captured an unknown presence that seemed to join a family during a weekend in the mountains. The picture was taken in November 1996. According to the man who shared it, this entity has followed his family for generations. He is the youngest of 6 children, and after his parents passed away, it seems the dark figure stayed with him. When the film was developed, he felt both shock and relief. For the first time, there was physical proof of what had long been talked about in the family. 3 independent experts examined the photo and agreed on one thing: it was not a film defect or processing error. They could only say what it wasn't, but not what it was. When the image was shown to the TV show Sightings, producers wanted to investigate further but needed the original negative. At the time, it had been lost. Years later, it was unexpectedly found again. Though scanning attempts were imperfect, the original still exists. Silent proof, he believes, that the presence never left and is still watching. What do you think has been following this family? Share your thoughts in the comments. A man lost his wife nearly 10 years ago, yet not a day passed without thinking of her. On the anniversary of her death, his daughter took a photo of him during a quiet evening at home. The next morning, she showed him the picture, and he broke down in tears. In the image, beside him, appears the faint form of a woman who looks strikingly like his late wife. The resemblance is so close it feels impossible to ignore. Her outline is soft, almost glowing, yet unmistakable. For the man, The moment brought overwhelming emotion, not fear, but comfort. For the first time in a decade, he felt as if she was near him again, if only for a brief second in another form. The photograph became both mysterious and deeply touching, a reminder that love may leave marks even beyond life. Do you think this was a sign from her? Write your thoughts below. The photographer recalled, "A while ago, some friends went camping and took this picture with a digital camera. But here's what's strange, those red figures weren't there. Nothing showed up through the viewfinder, just an empty forest. The shapes only appeared when we uploaded the photos to the computer. Ever since, we've had this uneasy feeling that something was out there with us, watching." Behind the group, faint crimson shapes can be seen, human-like but distorted, glowing softly against the dark trees. Their presence feels unnatural, predatory. What were those red silhouettes in the woods that night? The person who posted this wrote, "While my two sons were at school, I was in the bedroom with my daughter when my phone sent an alert from the living room camera. I thought it was odd since no one was home. But when I opened the alert, I saw something in the bathroom behind the baby gate. It looked like a small child. Whatever it was, it looked exactly like my younger son, but both my boys were at school. The resemblance to the missing child is uncanny. Same height, same posture. What was that thing in the house, mimicking the boy who wasn't there?" The owner of this photo wrote, "Any thoughts on this? My security camera captured it. I'm the one in the robe, but the other figure, I have no idea who or what that is." The image shows a dark hallway, and in the doorway floats what seems to be a human-like head, faint, semi-transparent, featureless, and hovering in midair. Many online compared it to a genuine apparition. Was it a glitch in the camera, or had something truly entered their home that night? The photographer explained, "I was in Bisbee, Arizona, about 15 years ago, taking part in a ghost tour. I had just bought a new camera from Best Buy, nothing fancy, just a regular one no one uses anymore. I played with the settings, taking random shots. Only later, when looking through the pictures, did I see her, the ghostly girl. For the record, there were no children on the tour. The spot where this was taken used to be an old cemetery before it was turned into a playground." He sent the image to a now-defunct paranormal website that published it, noting that long exposure shots often capture what the naked eye cannot. In the photo, a small girl stands near the swings, wearing old-fashioned pajamas, her face pale, her eyes clearly visible even through the blur. Who was she? A trick of the light, or one of the forgotten souls still wandering that ground? The woman who shared this photo said it was taken decades ago during a camping trip when her husband and two friends were teenagers. They used a film camera, no editing, no tricks. In the picture, the boys kneel by the fire, laughing. But behind them, two disturbing shapes appear. One, a shadowy figure standing to the left. The other, a grotesque face hovering above the flames. According to her, there was no one there at the time. Later, a psychic examined the photo and claimed there were several spirits present, gathered around the group, drawn to their laughter. What do you see? Just smoke and coincidence, or something far more sinister watching from the dark? Among the most chilling discoveries ever made in the Paris catacombs, this story began in the early 1990s when a group of cataphiles exploring the tunnel stumbled upon a video camera lying on the ground. To their shock, the device still contained footage. The recording captured a man wandering aimlessly through the labyrinth, clearly lost and increasingly terrified. His breathing grew frantic. The sound of footsteps echoed behind him, though he was alone. Then the video ended abruptly when the camera fell, still recording. The final frame, captured by a still feature function, showed a strange shape, something humanoid, yet not human, described by some as Anubis-like. The man's identity and fate remain unknown. Some believe he went mad and perished down there. Others claim the catacombs themselves claimed him. Could this terrifying encounter have inspired the horror film As Above, So Below? What do you think? Did he ever make it out? Late at night, just before closing time, a woman walked into a cafe. She stepped inside and vanished. No employee saw her leave. The indoor cameras captured nothing, not a single frame of her walking through the room, as if she dissolved into the air the moment she entered. Days later, a security guard rewatched the footage and noticed something that hadn't been there before, a transparent figure standing in the corner of the frame. He became convinced it was her, the woman who went in and never came out. Since then, the cafe closes earlier. The entrance camera has been removed, but the motion sensor still goes off from time to time. The room remains empty, completely still, except for the lingering feeling that someone remains inside, someone who should not be there. What do you think happened to the woman? Write your thoughts in the comments. The picture was taken during a family birthday. Guests sat at the table. The room was filled with celebration. Everything looked perfectly ordinary. But later, while scrolling through the images, the family noticed something disturbing. Behind the woman on the left, in the depth of the frame, a figure appeared. No one had invited her. No one had seen her. A face with an empty expression, long hair, eyes staring directly into the camera. The gaze didn't seem accidental, too exact, too alive. They checked every other picture from that evening. No trace of the figure anywhere. Only this one. And since then, the photo has made everyone uneasy, because it seems she didn't simply appear. She knew exactly when and where to be. Who do you think appeared in the family photo? A man set up a hidden trail camera on a deer path on his property in North Carolina. It usually captured animals, deer, raccoons, the occasional bird. But one night, it captured something else. A girl. She stood barefoot among the trees, glowing faintly. The light didn't come from the sun or any lamp. It came from within. A soft, cold luminance, like moonlight without a source. The man insisted she wasn't human. No one walks there at night. There are no houses, no trails, nothing but wilderness. He replayed the footage over and over. The figure appeared in one frame and vanished in the next. No approach, no departure, just one impossibly captured moment. He later admitted he heard steps that night, someone walking over dry branches. But when he went out with a flashlight, the forest was empty. Only the blinking camera, as if showing that it had seen something the eye wasn't meant to see. That he removed the camera soon after. Who do you think she was? According to the owner, strange things had been happening inside the house that day. Later, while reviewing the photo, he noticed something unusual. In the image, a blurred figure can be seen without any clear outline, almost like a shape formed entirely from shadow within the room. It has no recognizable facial features or body details, yet visually stands apart from everything else in the frame. Its presence feels unnatural, as though something extra was captured there. The owner is convinced no one could have been inside the room at the time. Skeptics, however, suggest it may simply be camera noise, poor lighting, or digital distortion often caused by night mode photography. But what exactly was captured? Write your thoughts in the comments. This photo of an old house in Ithaca, Michigan, carries a troubling history for the family. The home was bought by the owner's grandparents in the 1950s. Its previous owner, who had been in a psychiatric hospital, claimed a piano constantly played in the basement. In desperation, he had pounded on the basement door, leaving marks that remained for years. When this photo was taken, the house was empty. Yet in the window, two figures appear to be looking out at the photographer. Combined with other strange events in the house, the image remains one of the most unsettling reminders of its haunted past. Who do you think was watching from inside? Write in the comments. This old photograph depicts Newton D. Baker, the U.S. Secretary of War, with his wife and children. It looks like an ordinary family portrait, until you notice the faint ghostly blur standing behind them. The image was made using a glass negative, a process known for strange chemical reactions that sometimes distorted the photo's surface. Some believe the mysterious figure appeared because of a flaw in the glass. Others say it looks too defined, too human, to be an accident. Was it just a technical error, or something, or someone, who wanted to be remembered alongside the family? What do you think this figure really is? This eerie photograph, taken in an Irish linen workshop, first appeared online in 2015 after being added to the Getty Images collection. At first glance, nothing appears strange, just a group of factory workers posing for a picture. But look closely at the woman seated furthest to the right. There's a hand resting gently on her shoulder, a hand that shouldn't be there. None of the other workers are standing near enough to place it. The angle doesn't fit anyone in the frame. It's simply there, pale, defined, human. Was it a trick of exposure, or did something unseen join the women for their portrait that day? What do you think? Coincidence, or something reaching out from beyond? An old, faded photograph discovered in a grandmother's house shows a small church from decades ago. Its windows reflect the cloudy sky, except one. In that window stands a man, but no one remembers him ever being there. Was he the minister who once served in that church, or a spirit bound to the place where he preached long ago? The photo remains a mystery, a moment frozen between time and eternity. What do you think? A living man, or a glimpse into the past that refused to fade? This photograph was taken in 1987 using a 35mm camera, purely by chance, on the anniversary of a tragic death. The photographer didn't know the story of Sue Howard Hardy, a woman who died nearly a century earlier, shortly after her child was stillborn. He wasn't seeking ghosts. He simply captured a picture of an old grave. But when the film was developed, a faint, translucent figure of a woman appeared near the tomb. She seemed to be mourning, head bowed, hands clasped. It was taken exactly 99 years after her death. Experts examined the photo and confirmed it hadn't been altered. Many believe it shows Sue herself, still grieving the child she never got to hold. What do you think? Coincidence, or proof that love and sorrow never fade? Hospitals are unsettling places at night, filled with echoes and dim, endless corridors. This photo was taken at Leeds General Infirmary by Andrew Milburn, a man who never believed in ghosts. One evening, he snapped a quick picture in a hallway to show his girlfriend where he was working. Nothing strange about that. But when he looked closer, his blood ran cold. In the photo, a faint white figure appears, a nurse, or perhaps a child, rushing into a room at the end of the corridor. No one else was in the hospital wing that night. No alarms, no movement detected. Just silence. Andrew's skepticism vanished after that. He'd seen the impossible. What do you think? the ghost of a former patient, or a trick of the light. The Dollhouse Cam live stream shows a dollhouse 24/7, and viewers have often reported noticing strange details hidden within the footage. One of the most discussed incidents happened in March 2009. During the live stream, the camera captured an unusual image near the base of a staircase, where what appeared to be a small figure suddenly became visible. Many viewers described it as resembling a child, or possibly a ghostly silhouette standing motionless in the lower part of the dollhouse. What made the moment even stranger was an important detail shared by the project owners. There were no dolls placed in that area at all. Because of this, the appearance of the figure could not easily be explained by the arrangement of toys, reflections, or staged positioning. This single frame quickly became one of the most mysterious moments ever recorded on the live stream. Some believe it was simply a camera glitch, a lighting distortion, or an unusual shadow. Others argue it may have been a rare visual anomaly captured live in real time. But what made the incident unforgettable was the fact that the figure appeared suddenly and never appeared again. What do you think was standing near those stairs? Write your thoughts in the comments. The former Lima Tuberculosis Hospital officially closed in 1972 and has since fallen into severe decay. Over the years, the abandoned building became a destination for urban explorers and paranormal investigators, largely because of stories connected to strange activity inside. According to local legends, footsteps can sometimes be heard echoing through empty hallways. Some visitors claim to see shadows moving quickly between rooms, while others describe dark figures resembling former patients. The basement is mentioned especially often. Some believe they have seen shapes resembling bodies lying on the ground, or dark forms moving where nothing should be. One investigator later shared a photo taken during an exploration of the building. Most images from the same visit looked completely normal, except one. In a single frame, a dark figure appears in the building. It had not been noticed at the time. That detail immediately sparked discussion. Some people believe it is simply lighting distortion inside a decaying structure or camera noise caused by darkness. Others think it may be one of those rare images where an unexplained anomaly is captured by accident. The building itself remains officially closed and guarded, and entering the property is considered illegal. So what appeared inside that abandoned hospital? Write your thoughts in the comments. This photo was taken shortly after the photographer claimed to feel a strange presence nearby. The owner of the location says that voices are regularly heard inside the building, despite no obvious source. He also claims objects sometimes fall or move on their own. At the moment this image was taken, only one person was on the property. That is why the photograph disturbed him. In the frame, according to the owner, a strange figure can be seen, something he does not believe can be explained by the presence of another person. Because no other witnesses were nearby, the author considers this image possible evidence that something unusual may be happening in the building. What was standing there unseen? Write your thoughts in the comments. This image was taken inside an old colonial-style house in Brockport, New York. The building is known locally for its long history and stories connected to families who lived there over 200 years ago. Later, viewers noticed something strange in the photograph. Inside one of the rooms, a semi-transparent figure seems to appear. The outline resembles a person standing quietly, slightly turned toward the camera. Because of the house's age and its many local legends, some believe the image may have accidentally captured something tied to one of the original owners. Others suggest it is simply lighting, reflection, or digital artifacting. Still, the figure remains difficult for many viewers to ignore. Who was standing inside that house? Write your thoughts in the comments. A man explained that he took this photo while waiting for a flight at Denver Airport. He was simply photographing the sky above the terminal and expected nothing unusual. Later, while reviewing the image, he noticed something disturbing. In the clouds, a face-like outline appears to form. To him, it looked as though something was staring directly back. Because of the cloud shapes and lighting, the face looked unusually expressive. The image left him feeling deeply uneasy. As a result, he made a sudden decision not to board the plane. Later, he reportedly learned that the aircraft experienced technical problems during takeoff and had to be evacuated. Since then, he has viewed the photograph as some kind of warning. Was it just clouds, or something more? Write your thoughts in the comments.
Daddy, why is that guy on TV grinning every time he lies?
Baby, that's a job requirement. Check the suit and tie.
He just promised folks a future.
Yeah, and last year he promised flying cars. Now he's cutting ribbons on a parking lot behind some bars.
So people know he's full of shit?
Most do. Still crap, that's the twist. Like